How awesome are Tim Burton's Batman movies? They're dark, they're gothic, they weren't afraid to tell stories about loneliness, duality, and identity, whilst managing to keep the campy tone that more superhero movies need more of. Of course, these films aren't perfect. Batman's suit at times looks pretty dumb. Sometimes Tim Burton goes way over the top with the camp. The studio interference is sometimes noticeable, especially in the first one, and I cringe at the sight of Batman killing people. If I were per se a quality YouTuber, I would probably talk about the Christopher Nolan masterpieces, but hell, I'm not a quality YouTuber. I would love to talk about those movies, but what can I say that hasn't already been said before? Everyone talks about those movies already and my video would simply be lost in an endless sea of Joker essays. Besides, no one talks about these movies other than to criticize or mock them. Some people even throw these two in with the Schumacher run. To say Batman Returns is a terrible film that destroyed the franchise is unfair and doesn't give it the respect it deserves. And to say Batman 89 is a bad Batman movie is, well... Batman 1989 is not a perfect movie by any means. The film screams studio interference. No superhero movie like this was ever made before. Warner Bros. Didn't know how well it would do compared to films like Superman or the cheesy old Batman show. They were worried people wouldn't like the dark version of Batman, so they didn't give Tim Burton as much creative freedom as he deserved. But when the film came out, it's safe to say they were pleasantly surprised. The film made $400 million and was loved by just about everyone who saw it. And you know what? This film was still fantastic. A great story about duality and pain. A story about the continuous cycle of violence in Gotham and how it creates monsters. And it's crazy to me that people refuse to appreciate what this film did. This film paved the way for every superhero movie afterwards. Without this film, there would be no Spider-Man, there would be no Iron Man, and there would be no Dark Knight. Batman 1989 changed everything. I love this movie. I could talk about every frame for hours on end, but you don't have time for that, I don't have time for that. So let's talk about the things I think make this a pretty damn great movie, and an almost great Batman movie. Bruce the Batman. The stakes in a Batman story separate him from most other superheroes. The question is never, will Batman save the day, or will Batman stop the villain? We already know he's gonna stop the villain, he's the goddamn Batman after all. The question is instead, should Batman put his life on the line to save the day? Should Batman kill the villain, or stick to his moral code, despite what they've done? Should Bruce Wayne be the Batman? A big thing these movies shine a light on is Bruce Wayne's struggle with his identity. He's unable to live a normal life because of his responsibility. He doesn't know how to live a normal life, because his life was never normal. He falls in love with Vicki Vale, but can't be with her, or rather chooses not to. He knows he can't put her in harm's way. Bruce is willing to put his own reputation on the line to do the right thing. Bruce is the city's weird shut-in billionaire. To some people, he's a joke. Bruce presents himself to be the person he thinks he needs to be, rather than the person he actually is. Bruce doesn't let anyone in. People like Knox think he's a stuck-up rich boy, but deep down he's nothing but human. Bruce Wayne believes Batman to be his real identity, and Bruce is just a mask. But Vicki makes him realize he's so much more. She proves that Bruce Wayne is human, and he has a heart. Vicki Vale, the photojournalist that saves Bruce Wayne. Vicki Vale plays a way larger role in this film than people give her credit for. She's not just a damsel in distress, she's able to handle herself pretty well. Sure, she does her fair bit of screaming and being kidnapped in this movie. Vicki enters Bruce's life at the best time. He hasn't been Batman for very long at this point. People still think he's a myth, a shadow over Gotham, the scum of Gotham. Knox is ridiculed constantly for his seemingly implausible theory. Since Bruce is still in his early ages in the film, it captures a Batman I love. Bruce is driving himself down a dangerous path of vengeance and anger. He embraces the isolation that comes with being Batman instead of fighting it. Instead of letting people in, he pushes them away, disregarding them. And the most notable thing is his violent tendencies. In Origins, he throws a man off a building, and he beats the living shit out of a common thug. This film captures all these but amps them up to 100. Bruce opens up to people, only to hurt them. He seemingly doesn't give a shit about the lives of the goons he faces. And he even goes as far as to break his only rule. I know a lot of people hate seeing Batman kill, hell, I do too, but in this film's context, I can stomach it just a little bit. Batman kills a lot of goons, and he kills the Joker in this movie. And in the sequel, yeah, he still takes a few lives, but he's maturing. He doesn't let his anger get to him. Instead of killing scum like Shrek, he tries to persuade Catwoman not to. But Bruce hasn't matured to that point yet. This film takes full advantage of that. Vicki isn't just a girl for Bruce to save at the end, rather the opposite. Vicki is the one trying to save Bruce from himself.
No, look.
I called you when I called you.
I know.
And you lied.
Well, if
You lied to me
about leaving town.
Well, let me tell you.
Without the influence of Vicki, Bruce would have continued down this path of darkness and misery, until he eventually became no better than the criminal scum he was trying to stop. Speaking of scum, the Joker. Jack Nicholson's Joker is fantastic. I don't need to tell you this. I love every scene with him.
I'm a lot happier.
Sure, Jack's performance is in no way as good as Ledger's or Cameron Monaghan, but he makes his performance so special. He completely captures the comic book charm of the Joker, whilst also managing to capture the dark and horrifying side. Jack at the beginning of the film is completely different than the Joker at the end. Jack Napier is your standard mafia type guy. He treats women like shit and he thinks he's invincible. He believes his boss needs him. He feels comfortable and confident. So confident that he's sleeping with his boss's goddamn girlfriend. And he's not even good at hiding it. So when his boss sets Jack and his crew up, he's surprised. The Axis Chemical scene changes him forever. The Axis Chemical scene is where everything starts. Everything up to this moment served to establish the plot, but this is where everything begins. This is the moment that breaks Jack. This is the moment that makes the Joker. This is the moment that breaks Jack. His own boss, the man he's worked for years, is trying to set him up. He's trying to kill him. Jack watches as his men are gunned down by the corrupt police and he's chased down. Gordon wants him arrested. Corrupt cop Egghart wants him dead. But what he faces is much worse. Jack's goon saves him and he has a chance to escape, run away from all of this. But his lust for revenge gets the best of him. He made this choice and now there's no going back. Jack falling into the pit of chemicals and almost dying changes him. But the needle that broke the camel's back, the thing that finally broke his mind, was what became of him. What Batman turned him into. What Gotham turned him into.
Jack is dead, my friend.
All that's left in his place is
Joker.
The Joker is the opposite of Batman. They were created by Gotham, but what separates them is how they react to it, what they do in response. Batman chooses to protect Gotham and make sure no other child has to suffer the way he did, whilst Joker antagonizes it, showing Gotham the pain it brought him. Joker kills for the fun of it. He wants Gotham to see him. He wants Gotham to see what it creates. Joker's main goal is to show the city that one bad day could completely change you, completely destroy you like it did him. Joker causes the city as much pain as possible whilst also proving the corrupt foundations it stands on. He torments and kills the men who used him, who betrayed him. He exposed the corrupt side of Gotham because the media refuses to acknowledge it. He terrorizes the people of Gotham for weeks, only to win their trust with the promise of money. He sees the greediness of Gotham. Greed is what made the Joker, and he targets Gotham for it. He gains people's trust only to terrorize them once again. Gotham is a terrible place filled with corruption and pain. He believes that will always be Gotham. He believes the city is unable to change, and he hates it. The Joker sees the human life as meaningless and takes full advantage of it. He no longer cares for happiness. He no longer cares for money. He just wants to watch Gotham burn, without a care in the world, with a smile permanently plastered on his face. But he soon will learn that Gotham can change. Gotham will change. He soon learns the true humanity of Gotham when he's faced with the Batman, the man he created, the hero Gotham created. The Joker, the man who made the Batman. Batman and Joker, the most fascinating duo of all time. The love story from hell. Batman and Joker's relationship is fucking incredible, and this film captures it in a way that I love. They're both examples of what a city as corrupt and violent as Gotham can do. Bruce Wayne, a simple kid, witnesses the murder of his parents right in front of him. Jack Napier watches his men die and is dropped into a vat of chemicals, changing him forever. As I already said, these two are complete opposites. Joker wants to terrorize Gotham, but Batman defends it. Joker wants to be seen by Gotham. He wants them to know what the city can do, but Batman shows them the brighter side of Gotham. Gotham is filled with corruption and violence, and an idea to believe in, an idea of hope, is the Batman. People like Joker can always try to bring pain to Gotham, but Batman will always be there to stop it, to protect Gotham. The Joker and Batman go back and forth. Joker just wants to bat out of his way so he can get the attention he craves, but Batman does everything in his power to stop him. He researches Jack, he uses information against him. He constantly foils his plans, whether that be the beauty product murder scheme, by saving Vale from him at the museum, and by destroying Axis Chemicals once and for all. But the entire movie something else is building. Something that connects the two in a completely new way. And when Bruce eventually finds out what that connection is, it changes everything. Now this movie gets a lot of shit for having Joker kill Bruce's parents. But you want to hear something funny? I think it completely works for the context of this film and the story it's trying to tell. You can burn me on a stake if you want to, but I don't care. This works for me in this context, it really does. This adds to the dynamic in a way we've never seen before. It adds to Bruce's motivation even more. Gotham created Batman, but Jack was the one that pulled the trigger. Gotham created Joker, but Batman was the one that pulled the trigger. This brings into the cycle of violence I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Joker killed Bruce's parents, and then Bruce kills the Joker. And all this anger is rooted from Gotham. Can I just talk about how goddamn great this movie's ending is? From the fantastic parade scene all the way to the final battle between Batman and the Joker, at the top of the cathedral. Joker created one last deadly contraption to torture and kill the greedy men and women of Gotham, when Batman shows up to save the day. This in my eyes is when Bruce finally starts becoming the Batman. He isn't fully there yet, he still has a lot to learn, but this is the one big step he needed to take. This entire film is documenting him as he learned what it truly means to be a hero, and what he's fighting for. Violently attacking criminals isn't going to inspire real change in the end, but becoming a symbol, a beacon of hope, will. Joker wants something more than to make Gotham suffer and embrace his darker truths, but Batman proves to him that as long as there's hope in Gotham City, the city will always fight back against scum like him. After some campy action later, Batman has trapped the Joker at the top of the cathedral, with Vic as his hostage. The scene of him climbing the long staircase, becoming more and more desperate to catch the clown, is incredible. And the final fight at the top of the tower is just... Yes, after getting his ass kicked and using his wits to come out victorious, Batman finally confronts the Joker. All the themes the movie presented are on blast here. The man who created Batman, the man Batman created, will be stopped. Joker gets the upper hand on Bruce and Vic and begins his escape. But Bruce knows he can't let that happen. He knows he can't let him escape and continue to terrorize Gotham. He won't allow him to create another Bruce Wayne. He won't allow him to create another Batman. The Joker is dead, and Batman has proved that as long as there's something worth fighting for, good will always win. Bruce has become the hero Gotham needs. He's become an icon of hope. He's become the Batman. Batman 89 is a pretty damn good Batman movie. It was an almost great Batman movie. The reason this film wasn't great is all due to studio interference. Tim and his entire creative crew had the hack producers breathing down their necks the entire time. Hell, you could say I'm bullshitting. You could say I pulled everything out of my ass. You could say I'm just a biased loser who needs to take off his nostalgia glasses, but you know what? I don't think I'm wrong. These themes are all present in this movie. They just aren't as noticeable as they can be, because the producers thought that people wouldn't like a Batman story that made them think. They just wanted a fun summer action movie that would sell tickets. If you want to see what this film was supposed to be, what would have made it a great Batman movie, instead of just a good one, read Sam Hamm's original script. You can find it from one quick Google search, trust me. You won't regret it. But to conclude this video, I just want to say, I'm tired. Tired of being told this is a bad Batman movie. Tired of being told I'm a bad Batman fan for liking this film. Tired of being told to take my nostalgia glasses off even though I didn't grow up with this movie. I just think that Tim Burton's Batman is an underrated Batman movie that has some fantastic themes and ideas that weren't able to be fully executed. I hope I made you view this film in a new light, but its sequel is treated even worse. A lot of people say it's a lot worse than this movie, but you know what? It's actually better.